Andy Anders.
I mean, the run game schemes, I think one thing that stands out is the athleticism of the offensive line and how it's being used, pulling guys, getting guys in space. What have you seen just in that sense from the offensive line and the ability to make big runs by blocking guys in space that way?
Yeah, I don't know if we're going to make any, conclusions off of, the first couple of games, but, you go off of what you see on film. And I think guys, first off, are playing hard. They're running to the football, but they're getting to the next level better. I think you've seen that on film. Guys are getting up to the second level better on a few of the stuff, that we had organized for this past game. And you're seeing pad level lower, and guys are rocking off the ball, and I think the running backs are running hard. But I don't think we're in any place right now to make any judgments on where we are. But that was what we did on Saturday.
Far left, Joe Nugent, WCMH.
Were you satisfied with the rotation at right guard, and is that something you can see doing moving forward?
Yeah, I think both those guys deserve to play. I mentioned that last week, and they both did. We'll continue to evaluate it and grade and make sure, but we all know we're going to need these guys. And that's the thing, whether it's Trevion and Quinchon or Austin and Tegra. I mean, these guys are team players, and they want to win. It's the number one thing here. It isn't about statistics or anything like that. And there'll be plenty of snaps to go around. We know that. So, this week we got a new challenge ahead of us, conference game on the road. So, those guys will help each other. And we'll see how this week of practice goes and as we get closer to the game, put a plan together.
Far right, Cameron T. Robinson, The Athletic.
Brian, when you look back at the film or even talk to Jaden, what did you see that went wrong on his kickoffs, and how do you evaluate that going forward?
Yeah, I just talked to him about his mindset, and he gave me some information just about a little tweak that he had, and he's either has to make the correction or has to communicate to us that there was an issue. So, talked to him for a while though about that and how much we need to moving forward.
Tweak, injury or just something he changed in his way?
Yeah, he felt a little something somewhere early on, and wasn't able to quite make the adjustment from there. So nothing long term or anything like that.
All right, Adam King, WBNS.
Coach, getting ready to go on the road for the first time, how much does changing, going downtown before the home games help get you prepared, or does it at all to go on the road? How do you change your weekly thing as you get ready for conference play on the road?
We try to keep it as close to our normal routine as possible. I would say that, we do have a little bit more of that feel when we're downtown, that we're on our own and a little bit more isolated, which is good. I think it avoids some distractions as much as we liked being here on campus. But this is new. I mean, you're going on the road in a conference environment. I'm sure they'll have a great crowd, night game. They're playing good football. So, we've got to, face our first challenge on the road, and that comes with, a lot of different things. And like you said, new traveling and, handling the crowd noise and all the above. So good challenge for us. We're looking forward to it.
Right next door, Dave Holmes, WSYX.
Yeah, so Michigan State's had 3 close games. You guys obviously haven't had one. And I know the goal is not to play a close game. You'd rather win by 40 or 50. But how much does the experience of a close game matter, and how do you simulate that with your guys when you haven't experienced it in real time?
I think when you have a young team, I think it's significant. I think our guys have played a lot of football and been around a lot of games, different styles of games. So, we should be able to adjust pretty quickly.
Front row left, Dave Biddle, 24/7 Sports.
Back to right guard for a moment. When you guys are making a decision like that to rotate, how do you balance, okay, we want to have cohesion up front with the same 5 guys, get Tegra many reps as possible, getting Donnie back, with also wanting to build that depth of getting Austin in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think, giving both of them a chance to catch their breath for a series or two is actually a good thing for a young player. So we look at that during the week. We'll rotate those guys during the week so that there's chemistry between Josh Fryer, Seth, and both of those guys when they're in there. And I think when you practice that way and then you play that way, there isn't all of a sudden like this chemistry issue or anything like that. As long as whoever's not in the game is really, focused in, seeing the plays on a tablet, seeing the adjustments in real time, I think that's good. And I do think that is a benefit to having the tablets is, although they're not in there getting the rep, they can actually see what happened in the last series and make any kind of adjustments that are going on in game.
Just a quick follow-up. Is Tegra definitely the starter there, or is it a pretty good battle there between between him and Austin, or?
Yeah, we're going to keep moving forward just like we just did, and let these guys both play. And as of right now, Ticker's going to start, but they're both going to play, and I think they're excited about that. And I do think it's good for them, especially early on, to have a series to catch their breath and then get back in there.
Dylan Davis, Delaware Gazette.
Devin Brown got a chance to get in there and throw the ball around a little bit. What was your assessment of Devin and how he played?
A couple, the third down conversion was good. He did miss a couple throws, so probably not as much in the game to really make a huge evaluation on. But every play is an evaluation. We're trying to build that depth, and so the development has to keep coming in practice, and we get in there in a game. We want to move the ball down the field and score touchdowns.
Conference play, these chances to get these guys in the game might be a little bit more difficult to come by. Is Devin still your unquestioned number 2 quarterback right now? Is that a competition at all still?
Guys are competing every day in practice. He would be our number 2 right now, but yeah, that's across the board. Everyone's got an opportunity to compete, and there's 5 guys in that room that want to get out there, and so to say they're not competing every day wouldn't be right for them. They got to come and bring it, and so we'll have opportunities this week in practice to evaluate them and kind of see where we go. But right now he is our 2.
Right behind him, Andy Backstrom, Letterman Row.
Yeah, Ryan, what makes Carnell so valuable when the ball isn't in his hands? Like whether it's perimeter blocking, pre-snap motion, feels like you guys lean on him for a lot. So what makes him so valuable in those situations?
His accountability is tremendous. His blocking, his attention to detail, like you said, his route running, the precision of his routes, and he's had a great guy in Emeka to look up to. We saw Marvin work last year, but he's carving out his own legacy here. He's a guy that we look to who has become a major part of our offense, and someone that does a lot of things for us. He's on punt return. He's running a lot of the stuff there. He's extremely talented, running routes and catching balls, and so you can see all that. But he's becoming a complete football player and also a leader.
Don Taveri, WBNS.
Coach, how much more do things ramp up now that the non-conference is over and you're going into Big Ten play and scout Sparty for it?
Yeah, it's always about us. So, we always say that the opponent doesn't matter. But all that being said, going on the road and a conference opponent is a big deal. So, everything's got to ramp up, and now we're into game 4, and we got to keep upgrading each week. So, we got to have a great week of practice, and, everything needs to ramp up. I think, first off, Jonathan's done a really good job already of establishing an identity there. I feel like, they have a really good quarterback, good young quarterback who can do a lot of different things. He can beat you with his feet. He's made some really nice throws, in some big games for them, and won a game on the road already at Maryland, and so for a young quarterback, that's we should give him a lot of confidence. On defense, they're playing really, really hard. You can tell they're well coached. So I think he's upgraded in a lot of areas, and he's doing a good job. So, we got to, this is a Big Ten road game for us, and we got to bring it.
Bill Landis, Kings of the North.
Right, you guys have been really explosive passing, just like a lot of short stuff, screens and slants and all that kind of stuff. As the offense continues to evolve, would you like to see more vertical shots in the offense, or are you pretty comfortable with where you are now and how kind of precise you've been on the short?
Yeah, no, it's a good question. I think we want to always, be able to run it right at you, run it outside, run it or throw the ball, horizontally and throw it vertically. And when you can do all those things, you're putting the defense in the highest amount of stress as possible. And a big part of that, though, is what the defense is giving. They, if they want to play, real deep and keep it in front, then we got to do a good job being efficient with those. If they start to challenge a little bit more, then we got to get behind them and run by them. So if you can do all of those things along with, in the run game, have the quarterback involved with it. Again, we feel like that's putting a lot of stress on the defense. And but the key is, when they take away something, can you get to the next thing? And that's what's important. But we've worked hard to try to make sure we have diversity within the offense.
Will had said, I think in camp, that he was trying to work on being a more consistent downfield thrower. He hasn't had a large, volume of downfield targets just yet. But what have you made of that so far?
Yeah, no, he really made some great balls and great throws in practice, and he's really made a lot of progress. He has. So long way to go. Still early in the season, but he can make them all. and he's done it in practice. And so, I think the timing is continuing to improve. You can just see, the ball's coming out of his hands, and the receivers are maybe even not even out of their break quite yet. I mean, that's good sign. Those are all good signs. And, and our guys do such a great job downfield of going up and getting it too. So there's a lot of opportunity and, a lot of games ahead of us.
Tony Girdman, Buckeye Huddle.
How much feedback do you get from Will during the week? I know you'll ask, what do you feel comfortable about? But in terms of who he wants to get involved, or what he's seeing from his teammates that maybe he's giving feedback on them, like do we get Carnell involved, stuff like that.
We always want to make sure that we're getting everybody involved. Now, a big part of that is whatever it takes to go score a touchdown. I mean, that's the number one thing here. But we want to put stress on the defense. How do you do that? You spread the ball around. So that's something we just do naturally. But there's a lot of conversation on a daily basis during the day, conversation on the field, conversation after the field, text messages at night, those types of things. But most of the conversation is between he and Chip and, in those meetings, but I'm right there as well. It's great because Chip brings such a different perspective to the table for us. But at the same time, there's certain things that, we've seen over the years that we know show up in some of these opponents that we're playing and what's coming down the road in the Big Ten. And Will has his own experience of playing in the Big 12 in those games. So a lot of good conversation there. And I think it's all healthy.
Has that picked up since the season started, or was that something that's been going on, since spring, or like when did things really pick up in terms of the conversation?
I don't know if there's any, it's always been good. I think as he's starting to learn the offense, he gets more and more comfortable. He's able to give more feedback on what he's seeing. And I think it's good to get in here and watch film on your own before the coaches even get to you. What are you seeing? And if he comes in with some different ideas that are in line with us, then we know we're getting, the mindset correctly. We're teaching it the right way and he's understanding it. So it's good to get some of his thoughts, on a Monday when, he's watched the film fresh.
Pat Murphy, 24/7 Sports.
Right, we haven't talked a ton about tight ends, but you guys are obviously using a number of them. How, to the average person, it may not come across, but how impactful are they in terms of what you guys are doing offensively?
Well, I think the tight end position here is critically important because it can put a lot of stress on a defense in different ways. The running and the blocking and the pass catching and all those different things can really create a mismatch for us. And when we're able to get in and out of personnel groupings, we feel like that also gives us a little something. So we're always talking about, how do you put stress on the defense? And this is another way for us to, to try to do that by changing up these personnel groupings, and having tight ends that can do multiple things allows us to do that.
Steven Means, Cleveland.com.
Spring was interesting for you, having to make some hires at times that you necessarily don't have to make hires. How well did you know Carlos Loughlin, if at all, before that situation arose where you had to go find a running back?
The first time I met him was on a Zoom call during an interview, and we had interviewed, Chip and I, several candidates. I think he might have been 8 or 9 or 10 or somewhere along there, and he almost interviewed us. He had a presentation ready. He gave his drills. I mean, I think we said hello and he ran it from the rest of the way, and it was like, this is our guy. I mean, he was tremendous, and then shared with us his story. Now, we had done a little background, but to hear the whole story of how he got into the game and his passion, and he knew everything about Chip, he knew everything about me. He had knew everything about Ohio State going into the interview, and it was just really, really impressive. And when it came to like the run game, identifying what the blocking schemes were like, how the running back runs, in these type of run schemes and what he's looking for. And then how does he drill it, and mindset and mentality. But of all the things that I liked the most, it was his mindset and his mentality,
See, there's a lot of guys that had offensive staff where you did have prior relationships with them before, obviously in different roles in your life, right? With him, it just seems like outside guy, you needed to go find a running backs coach. And as you're talking about, that guy just wowed you away. Having that guy who maybe doesn't necessarily think the way a lot of you guys do, how was he added to the room overall when you guys are sitting in those offensive meetings right now?
I think some people ask, what are some of the things that you've learned? Every year you learn more as a head coach. And, I didn't know Jim Knowles when I hired him. I had never met him before. And the same thing with Carlos. And I think what you want to do is you want to go hire the best fit, but you got to hire the best person for the role in that time. And so you got to be thorough. And sometimes it takes more time to make sure you bring in the right person for that spot. And we felt like Carlos was that guy. But I think anytime you come in with a buy-in, but also a different perspective, it's healthy for the room. Ask questions, challenge. Have you ever thought about doing it this way? This is the way we've done it. Show you some clips of film, just to kind of splash the water, I think is great. And I think early on, you got to kind of learn the way that it's, our system works, which he's done a great job of. But even now, just gives little ideas here and there out of practice of things that, he's done at some of his prior stops. And that's all really, really healthy stuff. It just gives you perspective too.
Spencer Holbrook, let him enroll.
Ryan, we talked so much about the interior of the offensive line, but what have you seen so far from Josh Simmons? I'm sure it's good when you don't hear much from the left tackle, but he's been penalty free for 3 weeks.
Yeah, I think Josh has played much more physical. He's finishing to the ball more. He's finishing to strain more. He's put more time in studying. He's a year into the system. So, we're counting on him to, be, the left tackle that we need to go reach our goals. Still early, but you're seeing progress there.
Stefan Kreisnik, Cleveland.com.
You ready, Paul?
Yeah.
Okay. With Travion and kind of the combo that he's had with Quinshon, where have you seen him kind of grow, and how do you think he's kind of embraced the role of splitting the reps more?
I think they've both been excellent. Yeah, and I think that's people ask all the time, but they pull for each other, and you can see in this game they both had great games. They both were the player of the game on offense for us, and when Quinshon's got a great run in front of the team, Trey's cheering him on, and vice versa. So they know what a long season it is, and I think they both make each other better.
Dan Hope, Love Warriors.
Ryan, do you expect Tyleek Williams to be able to practice and play this week? And what was your assessment just overall of how the other defensive tackles played against Marshall?
Yeah, I think that Tyleek's day to day. He'll be out there today. We'll see how it goes. I think when you watch the film, there was good play, but there needs to be more consistent play. And so, there's a lot to learn from there and a lot to grow from. And this is an opportunity to build depth in that room. When Tyleek, is out there, he certainly makes his impact felt. And just like when we lost Donovan there for those couple of weeks, it was an opportunity. And so you learn about that when you have to step into that role. It's different than when you're, playing 10 to 15 snaps in a backup capacity to when you're the guy. So good challenge for those guys. And I think, everybody in that room would tell you that there was some good plays, but there needs to be more consistent play.
Steve Hellwagen, 24/7 Sports.
Just put my hand up and get right in. Want to ask about the defense, just some problems getting off the field on 3rd and 4th down this past week. Was there a consistent theme to anything that you guys saw, or some things that maybe future opponents could hone in on to convert some of those in future games?
Yeah, every time you get done with the game, you evaluate it and try to sort through, what went well and what needs to improve. And, there's, I'm not going to get into all the different things right now, but, there was definitely some plays on 3rd down that we'd like to have back, that we'd like to execute better.
This pass rush, where you want it right now, just 1 sack this past week, and it wasn't even out of the regular format, it was out of the Rushman kind of special package.
I think what's important for everybody to understand, and that includes, JT and Jack and our guys, is, if an offense decides that they're not going to give up any sacks, they can run the ball every play, throw RPO, or get a ball out of their hand quickly. And so it isn't a game of stats. What you got to do is you got to stop the run. And if the quarterback, is in a situation where he's looking to run quarterback draw or quarterback power or those type of things, we got to stop the run first. The sacks will come. So, just to go out there and think you're just going to go sack the quarterback, if one of the things that the other, side of the ball decides is we're not just going to take a 5-step drop and hang on to the ball, then those opportunities aren't going to be there. You have to defend what the other team is trying to do. And so, That's just the bottom line. And, when you have talented pass rushers like that, you're going to get some different styles of play. And so we all just have to make sure that, we understand the goal is first is to stop the run. And then secondly, it's obviously, about disrupting the passing game. But there's different ways to disrupt the passing game. And to think that, we're just going to, guys are just going to drop back pass in a game like that, is going to happen. The ball came out quick. Quarterback did not hang on to it. So, there's a lot of things that come with that, and we could talk about this for hours, but I want to make sure that the number one goal is the number one goal, and that's to stop the run and to get off the field on third down, whatever that takes. And it may not be a sack.
Joey Kaufman, Columbus Dispatch.
Ryan, did you hear anybody from the Woody days about going into the tee on that Steve with Will Howard?
The tee, well, yeah, Chip brought it out in the spring game, and that was kind of robust there to show a little respect to Coach Hayes and the way they used to run the ball here. So, we wanted to do that then. Now, that formation gives us a little something. It gives us some balance. And so, we'll continue to build on it as the season goes on.
Chip ran it a lot at UCLA. Was that sort of something or not a lot, but he ran it somewhat at UCLA. Was that something he kind of suggested he was something you could do?
Absolutely. Yeah, that was something he's got a little bit of background in. So we spent some time talking about it this off season and looked at some different things out of it. And so, when appropriate, we'll utilize it.
Far left, Whitney Harding, WCMH.
Hi, Ryan. Kind of a left field question. I was going to ask you, have you heard about the story about Michigan State's Armorian Smith and that he's raising his 5 siblings? I mean, it's just a truly incredible story, and I was wondering what your thoughts were on, what these kids on a regular go through.
Right.
And the extra time that he's putting into all of this.
Yeah, I was told secondhand a little bit. I don't know all the details, so it'd be hard for me to comment on it. But I certainly, what I've heard, have a lot of respect, for that situation and understand the challenges that I can't imagine what that challenge is like. But and everything that it sounds like he and his family have gone through. So it's one of the things that kind of gets lost a little bit. Is that, these are young men and not everybody's has the same family situation or dynamic. And that's why we always have to make sure we focus on, our, one of our goals here is to raise great young men and to be supportive and those type of things. And so, again, I don't know all the details, but certainly, have a lot of respect and have definitely thought about what that means for he and his family.
Austin Ward, the podcast.
Ryan, just last week you were in here talking about with the tackles that Caden and Will, Jason might have some opportunities, and I don't know if it was a challenge to them for Saturday or if you thought those guys were ready to take on more reps. Did what happened Saturday trouble you at all with the depth? Is that just a product of being out there for the first time? Was the depth? Is it not where you guys really want to tackle? I'm throwing a lot out there.
No, I know you're trying to figure out what was the evaluation coming out of it. Yeah, I get it. I think again, it was a mixed bag. Do we want to see more consistent play? Yeah, we do. Whether like the 4th down stop by Tywan Malone was a really good play. He took an adjustment that happened in game and, that happened on the sideline and he made it on the field and made that play. I thought he had a really good play in a screen. He put his foot in the ground, redirected and made a play. But then there's also some clips of film that, we got to be better. So, but I think that's I think about when Austin got put into that role in the first couple of weeks here in preseason camp, it wasn't very good because you have to almost recalibrate yourself to this is what I got to bring every single play. It's not just 10 or 15 plays and I got to bring it every single play. So, we'll see where that goes this week. We'll see where Tyleek's at, but when those guys do get in there, we're counting on, an adjustment to be made and some progress to be made there.
Was the nature of that game with some of what they were running with the quarterback, the heat, the temperature on the field, the rubber melting or whatever, did it make it difficult at all? I know that you guys aren't going to ever lower the standard or expectation once you're out there and wearing that uniform, but did it make it more complicated to evaluate when all those factors are in there?
No, because they're the same for both sides, and, we're not going to make any excuses about that. I mean, either do your job or you don't. And there's a lot of things that can come into play. Like you said, there was some unique schemes in there, but still, ultimately, you did your job or you didn't. You either graded out a champion or you didn't, and I think ultimately we have to make sure that we keep it just, black and white, and that's what it is. And either you did your job or you didn't. You played good enough to win or you didn't. And so there's a lot that comes with that. And it's like instant feedback on how your preparation went. How did you practice? How was your meetings? How were your walkthroughs? Did you spend enough time watching film? All those things. How about, did you get enough rest? Did you hydrate well enough, the night before? So, you got to evaluate all those things, figure out what you did well, enhance them. The things you didn't do, you got to get them fixed. And that's a part of the progress. But you're getting good feedback when you're getting way more reps against, the ones than you would typically, if you're playing as a backup. So, we'll see. We'll see where this thing goes. But they've certainly been challenged, and I know everybody in that room is going to work hard to get it to where we need it to be.
Bill Rabinowitz, Columbus Dispatch.
When you got the 4 big transfers, Will, Steph, Caleb, and Quinshawn, you knew they were talented, but it's one thing to integrate them. And have they done and been everything that you hoped they would be? And how much of an addition has that been? Obviously, it's a big one, but can you quantify it?
I think, first off, it's the culture fit. And I think all of those guys have been excellent culture fits. I think when you watch all of them play, they play with emotion. They like to be around this team. There's a play where Seth's running downfield on him. I don't know if it was a screen or one of the toss cracks, and he's downfield and he's barking at the sideline and he's just having fun. And Quinshawn, same thing, is that long run, and you just see him jump up. And Caleb's out there. He's got great energy. And Will, these guys, they just like being around this team. And to me, that's like the number one thing, because, when you bring guys in, especially here who have put the multiple years in the program, it's a little bit of a different deal for your culture, and you got to make sure that you're sustaining a culture during these kind of unprecedented times. I think that's very important. On the field, again, you're seeing what you see. We see what we see in practice, but the challenges are bigger, and we'll kind of evaluate that, as we start getting more of these bigger games under our belt.
And Chip coached against Jonathan Smith. You probably don't have any familiarity coaching against him, right?
Just that first game, I think, when he was at Oregon State, that was the first one, but he had just started there. So,
okay.
Yeah.
How much does it help to have Chip and to be able to bounce things off him, because he obviously knows him better?
Yeah. Again, I think he's an excellent coach, and yeah, Chip knows, him as a coach. It doesn't necessarily mean everything they did at Oregon State is what they're doing now. I think they've kind of made some adjustments based on their personnel. But yeah, they have some familiarity there.
And final questions, Tim May. Let him in a row.
Thanks, Jerry. Just 2 quickies. Number one, do you feel good where this running game is that you have going into the Big Ten meeting? Have you seen the consistency, et cetera? And I know everything's relative based on who you're playing, who you're blocking and stuff, but what's the indication that this running game is coming along like you envisioned?
Yeah, I don't feel good about anything. That's just my mindset. Yeah. I don't, and that has to be everybody's mindset. You start to feel good about something, and complacency can sneak up on you fast. So no, nobody feels good about anything. I think we're building confidence in it, though. I think guys are starting to, okay, we can get after some people now, and they're starting to have a little bit of fun and say, like, I'm going to line up against you and get after you. And I think, to me, in the way the running backs are running, and that you can feel that's palatable when you're out there. And so we got to keep building on that. Again, bigger challenges are ahead and all that, but that part has been encouraging, I would say.
Yeah, and finishing downfield.
So I'm saying, like, to me, like that's more than anything. We want the execution. You got to do your job. You got to grade out a champion, but it's how hard are you playing down the field and finishing blocks and finishing your runs. And, we saw that here, but again, it's just a start.
And is it amazing to you how, because y'all have done this, you look at Michigan State, they didn't just bring in a new coach, they brought in other players. You know what I mean? They've reshaped their roster and stuff. People are used to like a sequential thing, I think, from college football, but that's not the way it is anymore and stuff. But has Michigan State done a good job in that regard? How would you describe it?
Yeah, I think so. Like you said, it's year to year more than ever. And they've done a nice job. They're playing hard, and they put some good pieces into it. And they're a good team. To win that game on the road against Maryland really, is they caught everybody's attention.
Thanks, Mary.
Yep.
Coach, thank you.
All right, guys.
Yeah.
Mike, you good with Knowles? Yeah. Then Will?
I got the mic list. I'll just sit here. Push off the linebackers. Very basic.
Every Tuesday at 1 o'clock. Drop that.
I don't go back to national.
Take away the ball.
Yeah, you can tell.
Why would you schedule it? You know, that's when they just started. Oh, no. We're Jerry. Oh, that's right. Say you're good. He said, okay, I texted him. Yeah. Will's good too. The guy gotta get I met him. I'll see back there. You can say that.
Jim.
Two reasons. Either he doesn't go
No, shut up. No, shut up.
I wish I could say
Look,
a lot of my
Austin can't get a logo.
He's got the shirt, he's got to buy the patch. I'm waiting there. What I should on there.
I mean, I only.
The old curve.
They said that they said the process.
He has 2 offers.
3 offers.
Yeah.
You want me to get my
The rest is gonna roll out that way. 5 rolls and 200.
All righty. Hey, Bill, lead us off.
Hi, Jim. I want to ask about the linebackers. What do you like so far about your linebacking core? What don't you like? Just break down what you're seeing from the linebackers, if you would.
Yeah, overall, in general, pleased. They know the system. They operate. They can make checks, see things happen before they happen. I think they've been matching up pretty well in pass coverage. I think we've been doing a more advanced job there. And just get better at tackling. I mean, it's a science that you never practice live. So, those even when you make the tackle, is it 3 or is it 5? Because that leads to the 3rd and 1s, 2s and 3s that make it difficult. So, I mean, I think it's just that tackling and how to continue to get more physical tackles, speed of the game tackles, while also still taking care of them at the same time during practice.
You guys seem to have some good depth. Are you guys still trying to figure out who your top 2 backers are?
No, I think Sonny and Cody have established themselves. But I like what, Arvell and CJ are doing. And Gabe in limited reps has done well also.
Jim, what did you think of the defensive tackles there without Tyleek on Saturday?
I thought Taiwan showed up, definitely. Kind of flashed a couple times in terms of being athletic and running to the ball. So I thought he made some good strides for himself and the team.
Go 3rd row, Andy Anders.
Sticking with the defensive tackles, you talked about Taiwan, obviously, but with Hero, Jason, Caden, where's the rest of that group at, specifically at 3 tech and Caden? How has he sort of elevated that nose guard depth behind time?
Caden's, he's interesting because he's very talented, plays hard. I think it's a matter of consistency with him, and predictability, I would say. So if you flash outside your gap and you make a play, great. And the next time you flash outside your gap and don't make a play, then, we have to be disciplined in our approach. But I think he's certainly shown the ability to mess things up in there.
Go next door to Dan Hope, 11 Warriors.
And just to follow up on Taiwan, if Tyleek wasn't able to go this week, would you see him as your starting 3 tech based on how he played?
We haven't really discussed that yet because we're hopeful on Tyleek, but I think there's a chance.
Do you think just regardless that Taiwan has earned himself more consistent playing time based on that performance?
Well, based on that performance, yes. It's only one performance, but he did a good job.
Go right behind Tony Kerneman.
I don't believe there's a defensive player of the game announced.
Correct.
Why and what went into that decision?
Well, we just you got to speak truth, and while we had some champions, we had no one that we thought really showed, a silver bullet of the game performance.
Come here to the front, Stephen Means.
In terms of the defensive tackle, did you think going into this game that maybe there was more depth at the defensive tackle than maybe the film showed you, or even live on Saturday showed you actually there was?
You can think whatever I want, right? It doesn't matter until you actually show up in a game, in front of 100,000 and do it, So, I think you just really don't know until a guy gets a significant amount of plays. I mean, you can get in here and spot performance here or there, or when the game is in control, but you have to be able to do it when the game is on the line for a significant amount of reps. So you really don't know until it happens.
Go on the aisle here, Dylan Davis.
Going back to the linebackers, Arvell said last week that he hasn't really worked much at the will, it's mainly Mike. How difficult would it be to get ready to play that position if you needed to, or is that just not an option that's on the table at this point?
No, it's not an option. I mean, with Arvell, he's on a structured course to greatness. So he's climbing that step by step. So you want to throw anything, don't throw a monkey wrench in there.
Behind Dylan, we'll go to Central.
Jim, what did you like from the secondary handling an offense on Saturday that you guys probably won't see a lot of moving forward?
Well, we only gave up one explosive pass. So, I think gave up 2 explosive runs. So 5 explosives over 3 games in terms of the way we look at it is a big deal. And I think that has a lot to do with our secondary, making sure that we keep things in front, that we contest when there's an opportunity to contest.
Whether it's air raid principles, you guys don't face the option ever, but these one-off offenses that you won't see a lot of Big Ten play. How much different is it to see that and then to pivot into conference play, knowing that you really won't see that again?
It's not, because you have to have the concepts and fundamentals and disciplines of your defense. They hold up. If you're creating new things every week based on the offense, I mean, you can change up your calls obviously based on the offense, but the fundamentals, the technique, those consistencies, they apply across the board.
Come back here to the front, Tim Matt.
Yeah, just 2 quickies. Arvell, I want to follow up on that. I mean, do you remember in preseason camp, was it in preseason camp where you saw him, where the light bulb was really coming on? I mean, when did this start showing up? Was it in the spring, or was it? And sometimes the light bulb, it flashes and sometimes it comes on. You understand what I'm saying? I mean, if you've been
preseason.
Yeah.
And I would say that's correct. It's a flashing light, flashing light, blinking light, So we're just trying to get that thing to stay on consistently.
Yeah. And that sounds like a Motel 6 thing. You called an all-out blitz, basically. I'm for want of another term, on one of their touchdown drives. Didn't quite get there. They converted, or it looked like an all-out. I mean, CJ Hicks up the middle, things like that. I mean, I wanted to get in your head a second. When that doesn't quite work, do you put it away for later? Do you go, well, somebody's already seen that now, we can't do that, the way they picked it up? How do you operate in that regard?
Yeah, you definitely want to stay multiple in those aspects. So, you have, again, it's not impossible, but I think when you're creating new things every week, that's not as good as like kind of already having a toolbox. So you're right. Yeah, you have a bunch in the toolbox, and maybe you pick one, and then you say, okay, I'll run a different version of that next time. Yeah.
Go right next door to Joey Coughlin.
Jim, it looked like Sonny was wearing the green dot on Saturday. Did he also do that against Western? And is he going to keep wearing that with even Cody back, or how does that go?
I can't remember if he did that against Western. I really don't know. I think Cody had it. That's what I thought. So it went Sonny, Cody, Sonny. Yeah. I think that can kind of flip back and forth. I think the more experience you get both those guys doing it, the better, and because one goes down, the other guy does it. But so I think that can remain fluid.
Is that kind of the goal?
Yeah, the goal is to have, we've kind of rotated around, and so they both can do it.
We all know how talented Caleb is. He hasn't had a chance to kind of make that signature play. It just hasn't come to him yet. But how impressive has he been, even if he hasn't kind of had that signature play? What has he added to this defense?
Yeah, he's just, like I've always said about him, professionalism and seriousness to his work, and coachability, and just makes mistakes. He's human, but he fixes things. So the slight nuances that we do week to week, he picks them up like that, and he's real serious about it.
I think I asked you last week, basically your defense has played close to perfect. You were like, I don't want to hear it. The fact that you had some issues on Saturday is actually, from your perspective, a healthy thing where you can say, look, there's a reason that I can't let you get complacent because we did screw this up. We did screw that
Mm-hmm.
up. Is that a good thing heading into, especially Big Ten?
No,
play?
it's never a good thing. It's not a good thing, but you have to make the best of it, so it's learning experience, everything happens for a reason. Okay. This happened. Here's how we didn't play it right. Here's how we have to play it right. So we learn from it. You learn. I think Bear Bryant said you learn a lot from a loss. We're not allowed to lose around here. But you learn even more from, a win where you don't play your absolute best. So it's probably where you're heading, but I don't ever think it's a good thing. It just just take what you have and make the best of it.
Were you frustrated Saturday?
Was I what?
Frustrated Saturday?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. I mean, our expectation has to be perfection and domination all the time. I thought we had a slow start. I thought I could have done a better job. And then you get in the start, but you get into those situations where it's like 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4, and you kind of scramble around and and you don't get off the field, on the 3rd play or the 6th play. And then I think that's when you get into trouble. You get off the field that first 3rd and 3 or even the 2nd third. I mean, maybe you may not see those 2 touchdowns. I mean, it's just kind of the way the game rolls, which brings up the importance of getting off the field 3rd down.
The second half. You know what I mean? That was a totally different.
Yeah, we did what we're supposed to do.
All right, we got last question, Cameron T. Robinson. Jim, kind of going back to something you said about Caden, you mentioned sometimes he'll flash out of his gap and make a big play, and then next time make flash out of the gap and something happens. And this is particularly about Caden. When you see guys make a play outside of maybe the gap or the role they're supposed to be in, how do you balance that with them in the sense of, we like the play you made, but that's not what exactly you're supposed to be doing in the scheme of what we're doing?
Well, if you do what you're supposed to do, and then when you flash to do something else, you make the play 100% of the time, I'm cool with that.
Thank you.
All right.
Knowles loves us to go, or Marcus loves us.
What? Yeah. You run the president, right?
You get to the podium next week.
Yeah, I feel like it's. My dad lives in LA, and my wife and I was right. Did you win? I know, it's a showcase. Well, I did air. I was really walking by my. What was it? You got to
What's up, guys? How we doing? Good, good.
What are some of the things that Carnell does without the ball in his hands that maybe stand out to you, whether it's blocking or pre-snap motion, helping manipulate the defense?
I think Carnell's done a really, really good job this year, not just with the ball in his hands, like you said, but blocking and, influencing guys, without the ball. He's really, really taken ownership of that. And he said, it doesn't matter if I have the ball in my hands or not. And I think that's, I've talked about like the selflessness of the guys in that room, and they all want to help each other succeed. And they know that, if you make a big block, you're going to have the ball coming to you soon. And we're going to continue to reward that. And I mean, that's huge. Like there were some blocks that he made on some plays that, turned some 10-yard gains into 20, 25-yard gains. And that's a difference maker. And he's done a really good job with that.
Well, I think maybe in camp you might have said that you were kind of focusing on improving kind of deep ball consistency. And I know there's not been a ton of chances to do that thus far, but just wondering how you feel about that. And when you're trying to work on it, is it more about mechanical stuff with yourself or more about kind of learning the body language and speed with which your receivers are playing?
I think it's a little bit of both. And I think at the end of the day, it's just repetitions. And, I don't think last game we had a lot of opportunities and we didn't really need to push the ball down the field. I mean, when you got guys taking, 53 yards on a slant route, I mean, I'm not going to complain about that. And obviously, we want to push the ball down the field. And I think in practice, I've made some strides in it. We've done some good things. We haven't shown it a ton, which can be a good and a bad thing. I think we do have the ability to do it, and I need to be able to show that. I don't think I've shown that yet, but I'm excited to get more opportunities to do that because it's a young season and we got a lot of time, and pushing the ball down the field is one of the things that I think our offense should be one of our strengths and can be one of our strengths because of the dudes we have in that room. And for me, it's really just letting those guys go out there and make plays and just putting the ball up for them and just trusting that they're going to be where they're supposed to be. And at the end of the day, the more that we work it in practice and the more that more opportunities we're going to be able to do it in the game, I think the better. And I think I personally, I need to be a little bit better with it. And we're trying to work on it, but we didn't really need to use it yet. But it's definitely going to be important. And we're working on it, and it's going to be a big part of our game. And, I'm not concerned at all with it at all right now.
From your perspective, what makes it tough to go up against a defense that has Caleb Downs?
It's, Caleb's a heck of a player, man. And he plays so hard downhill, and he fills the hole so quick. For me, it makes me have to be a little more true with my reads and, have to respect him and really all those guys, just the way that they can track guys across the formation and come downhill and fill holes. It changes the way that you sometimes, your RPO game, sometimes you read some things and you think you might have a guy out leveraged and Caleb comes down and makes a really good play. So it challenges you in practice. And like I say, going against those guys every day makes us better. So it's nothing but good things.
Well, you've talked a lot about if you have a one-on-one matchup with JJ, then that's always a good decision to take that shot. If you still feel that way about that play that led to the interception on Saturday, if that's still where the ball needs to go, I assume you agree with that, but if you don't, you can correct me. What needs to be corrected about it to make sure that that becomes a completion or not the worst case scenario moving forward?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things you can look at on a play like that. And I think, sometimes things happen in football and, the kid made a good play. At the end of the day, I think, we want the receivers splits to be a little closer on that one, just after looking at it, how we can help ourselves improve. Because for me, it's I got the matchup, I'm going to put it on a spot, and trust that he's going to be there. And, and sometimes, the defense makes a good play, sometimes we get squeezed to the sideline a little bit. And, but at the end of the day, I got all the faith in the world in those guys. And I think that's a 1 in 100 kind of play that kind of happened. And, things happen. It's not going to be perfect. But the most important thing, and the thing that I think I was most proud of with myself and with the team, is that we didn't let it affect us. And I think you could see that, nobody really batted an eye, obviously, we have to take care of the ball, and I can't throw picks, and, things like that can't happen. But I think, the way that we responded from it is shows the character of this team and the confidence that we all have in each other. And just a moment like that, is not going to make us bat an eye. So I think that's a good sign.
Well, when you watch Michigan State, they rank toward the top nationally in sacks and their ability to get pressure on quarterbacks. What's stand out to you? That's their front.
They got some good players up front. I think they got some good players in the secondary as well. Just in watching some of their games from this year. I think their scheme's pretty good. I think they do some good things. They heated up Boston College a little more than they heated up the teams that they played in the first 3 weeks. So we got to be ready for whatever their plan's going to be against us. But they got some good players. I think number 2 is a really good player off the edge. I think their linebackers are they've been playing a while. They're good players. They're instinctive. They play downhill really well. But I think we got some things to try and get them confused, get them out of gaps. And I got all my faith in the O-line, and I think they're up for the challenge. I know it'll be probably the best front that we've seen so far. But I think we go against the best front in the country every single day, and I think that helps our offensive line, and I think it helps all of us to just be ready for anything.
You and Caleb and Quinshawn and Seth all were accomplished players, and you played well here. Just can you describe the challenge, if it even was, of integrating into this program, because you came from different places, different philosophies, whatever, but it seems like it's been pretty seamless.
Yeah, I think that's a credit to the people in this building and the people that and the people on the team, the players. They all took us in and accepted us as one of their own, from the very start. And that is something that will be forever eternally grateful for. There wasn't really any pushback there. There can be bad blood sometimes when new guys come in, and people can think that we might have big heads, but I think we all came in with the right attitude, right mindset. And we all knew that we were on the same page and that we were all here for the right reasons. And I think when we all step back and kind of look at it, I think they wanted to bring in really good players, but I think they also really wanted to bring in good people and good character people. And I think they did a really, really good job in finding some really good people, not only good players, but good people. And, when you have a tight, locker room like we do, it makes it easy for guys like us to come in and just be a part of something. And it's a blessing, man. It truly is a privilege to be a part of this team. And, I'm thankful for the guys for, bringing us in, even though, we've all came from our different backgrounds and had a lot of different experiences. And I think, all that's valuable. But, they really respected us and treated us great. And I'm just really thankful for all the people in this building and all the players for helping us transition into this place, so seamlessly, like you said.
Come over here to Adam, okay? We're kind of building off that, your leadership. I mean, I'm sure you get here in the spring, you're trying to settle in, get used to all the new. Now that you've gone through 3 games, you've gone through fall camp, how have you seen your leadership grow through the team, and how would you describe yourself as a leader?
Yeah, I think the way that I work, I'm an encourager. I'm a positive guy. I want to, obviously you're not going to be able to be positive all the time, and sometimes you gotta pull people along. But for me, the way that I look at things, man, it's like we're out here playing a kids game. We're having fun. We want to have fun with this, man. Like at the end of the day, we're all together for the same purpose. Like smile a little bit, have fun. Pick your brothers up when they're down. Encourage them when they make a great play. I think that's the way that I kind of go about things. And I think, after the first 3 weeks, I think my leadership definitely I've just gotten more comfortable in the role. I think we've just became, I think the more that you play and the more that you go to war with your brothers, man, the closer you get. And I think this team's just continuing to get closer, and we all trust and respect each other. And I think, once you're able to actually get out there on the field and show them what you're able to do on the field, like, that trust and that respect is there a little more. And I think through 3 games, I think we've done some good things offensively, defensively, special teams. There's obviously way more to clean up. And, I think that's the exciting thing is we have so much more to get better at. But for me personally, being a leader, I just want to continue to be a positive force for this team and encourage my teammates however I can.
Go to the second row here, Stephen.
Kind of a two-party here for start. Have you noticed teams adjusting to the fact that you are a threat in the run game when you guys are on some of those RPO stuff? And also, I'm sure you've been running RPOs for a long time now. How soon in your career did you get comfortable running RPOs and operating in that?
Yeah, I think I don't think I've really shown much in terms of my running yet. I don't feel like I at least have put on tape that I can run much, and I think I'm excited to do that. So I don't know. I think sometimes you look at some teams and the way that they play their DNs or the way that they, scheme up some of their blitzes can be pretty evident. Like, hey, we don't want to, watching Marshall play Virginia Tech, like that quarterback's a running quarterback. Kyron, he's going to tote the rock. And they were clearly trying to take that away. I don't think they did that necessarily against us. There were a couple times maybe I, burst it off a fake and bring guys with me, but that's just what I want to do as a part of my job. But I think there's a lot more opportunities for me to show that and for defenses to respect that. And I think, in just the RPO game overall, I think the overall message of, just getting comfortable with RPOs, like I think it just takes time. And, the older I've gotten, the more I've seen these pictures and I've seen, hey, if they're going 3 buzz week and they're rotating a safety down into the box, and that's when I need to put the ball to Carnell behind them. Like I've just seen that look, a million times. So the more you do it, the more comfortable you'll be with it. I think I really settled into that probably my 3rd year at K-State. I finally started feeling comfortable with RPO progressions and controlling guys with my feet, with the ball. And I think, the way that we're running our offense here, Coach Kelly's given me a lot of leeway to do that, with the ball, with my feet. And, I'm the run game coordinator at the end of the day. So I think it's been good. And I think we got more that we can show too.
Go to left field, Joe Duda.
As somebody who grew up in this area, are you looking forward to playing a Big Ten game this week?
Absolutely. I'm really excited. I like I said, I grew up watching the Big Ten. Spartan Stadium, cool place, man. I'm excited. I think it's going to be, a night game. It's going to be fun. It's going to be popping. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's a cool opportunity, man. And the non-conference games were fun, but we know it gets real, and in the conference, anything can happen. So we know every week we're going to get every team's best shot. And I know Michigan State's a good team, man. They're a hard-nosed, good playing team. So we're up for the challenge. We're looking forward to it. And I'm looking forward to playing my first Big Ten game.
We'll wrap it up with Tim Nate.
Yeah, just one quick follow, Will, about the run game. How important was it in these first 3 games to really establish Quinshon and Travion as the big play makers that they are? You understand what I'm saying? And
yeah.
And like you said, you've just dabbled in the run so far.
Yeah.
What has it meant from a confidence standpoint to this offense? Can you tell a difference?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, we've came out and showed how explosive we can be in the run game and the pass game, and I think that's a great thing. I don't think there's anything that we did to say, hey, we're going to put these guys in positions to look really good. I think they've just made those plays themselves. I think we're running our offense, and those guys are making some plays that,
that they make because they're special players. And our O-line has really stepped up to the challenge. I think the last 2 weeks they played really well in the run game, especially. And I think, getting that run game started was really big for this offense. And because, the better you run the ball, man, it opens everything up. It opens the screen game up. It opens RPOs up. It opens the big play shots down the field up. It opens everything up. So, if you can get your run game going like we have, the better it is.
And one of the quick, is there, from watching it, you've never played in the Big Ten, is there something different about football in the Big Ten? I mean, it used to be 3 yards of cloud of dust kind of feel for a lot of people when they would just lazily describe it. But what do you expect from a physical standpoint to be different?
Yeah, I think every conference, has its stereotypes, if you will. If you're to talk to someone about the Big 12, you probably think, high-powered offenses, and you think SEC, it's big dudes. You think Big Ten, it's running the ball down the field. Like, yeah, there's some of that. I think definitely, in the Big Ten, like the dudes are big inside. Guys are big up front. Bigger than what I've played with. I mean, I've faced some pretty big dudes, in Texas and Oklahoma and whoever we've played over the years. But I think consistently the Big Ten, you got some size, especially at the linebacker positions. Those guys are going to hit hard. They're going to come downhill. But I think at the end of the day, man, like it's football, and I'm not really looking at it any different. And I think the Big Ten is a really, really strong league, and we got a lot of good teams in it. But I think you can say that about a lot of leagues. And when you're at Ohio State, I feel like we have the talent and the ability we should beat everyone every week. And, that's the way that we have to look at things. And you know what, like, it doesn't matter who it is. That's the mindset we got to have.
Thanks, man. Thank you.
Appreciate you guys. Go Bucks.